Monsieur Guersent, we are very pleased to have you tonight to this dinner, and I'd like to know what are your main key takeaways of this event.
Well, I think, in substantive terms, I mean, we're in exceptional times. Europe is almost at war, let's put it that way. So maybe competition policy is not the tool of choice these days, but I think it's important that we continue to stand for what we've built, a open society with free choices and a single market. And on all this, one way or the other is challenged, but what is happening at the moment. So I think it's quite important that we hold tight. With our colleagues of the ECN, we have given, first of all support to the friends from the ECN that are in neighboring countries, or Romanian friends, or Polish friends, but also the colleagues from the ICN in Ukraine, in Moldova. I think it's important because we stand for values that are challenged by what is happening currently. So that's one thing. Second thing, it's challenging times because we're living in an energy crisis, which is linked to this Ukraine crisis. We're just starting to emerge from a COVID crisis. Not long ago, we were in the middle of a financial crisis. So it's like as if waves were coming one after the other. And meanwhile, we still need to manage a digital transition. We still need to manage a low carbon transition. And we need to increase the resilience of our economy. All this in a very compressed time. And I believe that competition policy has a role to play for that. It's maybe not center stage, but it's quite an important supporting role. So that leads me to some considerations. First, competition policy is not something that, floats in a vacuum above the other policies. It's one of the policies of the Union, and it should serve the general policy objectives of the Union. Of course, respecting our core mandate. But I think we can respect our core mandate while trying to help in these twin transitions, as well as in building a more resilient economy. And this is what we're trying to do, first by updating our current tools. As you know, we are engaged in the most comprehensive review ever of competition tools. And of course, in doing that, we're trying to adapt it to the challenges of tomorrow. We are doing this, for example, with the new guidelines on energy, environment, and climate. But it's just one of the many examples. We're adapting in terms of digital through the new horizontal guidelines, for example. The verticals, the current verticals were crafted at a time where it was about protecting the e-commerce against the reaction of firms that wanted to protect their brick and mortar business. Or maybe today it's the other way around. So all of this has changed. So we need to update our rules in order to be up to these challenges. But also the stated rules. The stated rules have been really challenged by all this crisis. We had to have the banking framework in the last crisis. We had the COVID temporary framework. We're thinking, what is it we should do in order to mitigate the effect of the energy crisis, or maybe the sanctions? Do we need another framework? And we will very soon consult the member states on what they think they should do. And stated rules also needs to help us coping with the market failures in order to try to meet our more longer-term goals in terms, in particular, of climate mitigation. And for this, we have really adapted the tools, and we are starting to make full use of IPCIs, for example. A bit too popular. We have difficulties to cope with the number of IPCIs, the number of projects. It mushrooms everywhere. So challenging times, a lot to do, a huge adaptation of competition policy tools, and still the necessity to keep on with enforcement, because enforcement is the core. This is, in the end of the day, this is what we are here for. All these policy tools are here so that the enforcement is strong and sound.